experts. You're all expert meditators, and or at least I assume you are. And you know that meditation is about doing nothing. It's in fact about stopping doing anything. Now, doing is an action which is based on conscious will. When we breathe, we are not doing anything. When we sense, when we feel, we are not doing anything. We are simply present. So close your eyes, as you are invited to do, and connect inside. Just feel yourself. Allow your attention to receive the information that naturally arises in your body. Akhil, can you close your eyes, please? Thank you. Also, what helps is if you allow yourself to relax in the place where you are, on the chair that you are, or if you are on a sofa, or if you are in an armchair, that you allow yourself to feel supported. Because whatever is under your butt in this moment, behind your back in this moment, if there is something behind your back, that's support. So instead of making yourself tense, just let whatever is that you're sitting on just support you. And in the same way, the air that you are breathing is supporting you. And the temperature of your body is supporting you. And the sound of this voice is supporting you. In fact, so many aspects of this moment are supporting you. So let yourself rest in this sense of being supported. As you find a position that is comfortable, but that you are awake, that you are present, so that you don't disappear and fall asleep, you simply notice what is happening in your body. That's where we start from, the body. This very body, the lotus paradise, that's what Buddha used to say. This very body, the lotus paradise. Everything that happens to each one of us happens in the body, through the body, through our senses, through our capacity to perceive, to feel, to recognize. Awareness is embodied. Consciousness is embodied. Does not exist as an idea, as a concept, as an abstraction, as a philosophical point of view. It exists in our physical body. Your body, our bodies are just a particular dense form of consciousness. And consciousness has different densities. The body is the densest one. Please close your eyes. And then the emotions are a little bit less dense. And then thoughts are even less dense. And then moods are even less dense. And we exist in many, many different dimensions of density. As a very dynamic, energetic field that continuously meets other energy fields, is connecting with other energy fields. We might realize it, we might not, but that's the nature of the energy fields. They have expansion. They don't have the physical limits that we ascribe to our body. Our energy can travel very, 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 very far because consciousness does not exist in time and space, except in the embodied form. So as you sit there and you feel your body, allow yourself also to expand your field. Imagine, visualize yourself in expansion. And another beautiful aspect of consciousness is that even though it is embodied uniquely in each manifestation, each one of us or any other manifestation on the universe, it is one consciousness. It's not mine, it's not yours. It doesn't belong to anybody, it's not limited to anybody or anything. One consciousness, many forms. One consciousness, unlimited manifestations. Each manifestation absolutely unique. Doesn't matter if it's a blade of grass, if it's a cat, if it's me or you. Each manifestation absolutely unique. So feel your legs and your arms and allow your eyes to open. And then give yourself a little stretch. Now, before we continue, Vistar, can you take care of Niru, because she doesn't seem that she can hear me from what I gather.
I sent her a message. She may have to restart the computer, so I've sent her a message.
Okay. Okay. Okay, guys. So welcome everybody. It's good to see you. Some of you have seen recently. Some of you I haven't seen in a long time. Good. So today is a walk in the park. Okay. So don't take it seriously. Don't make yourself nuts. It's just an opening of the field. There is this webinar that will start in a month and a half or something like that. And today we move through the two different parts. In the first part, more or less, I don't know, let's see, 45 minutes, an hour, depending on how we go, I will give a general introduction to the three modules of this webinar, which means the black essence, the yellow essence, and the diamond guidance. So I will give a brief introduction, a brief description of this. And then we can have some question and answers. Also, if you have questions during my communication in the beginning, you can always raise your hand and we can eventually speak right away. Then we take a short 5 minutes break after, if I remember. So Vista, you remind me because otherwise I forget. And after 5 minutes, we come back and we do a second part where I will work mostly with how we work. So what is the methodology that we use to actually enter into our true nature? So it's going to be more on a practical level, the techniques, the ways that we actually reconnect with our true nature, the practice, okay? And there are also question and answers. We go more or less for a couple of hours, okay? More or less. I try to be brief and so that you can have space for questions if you wish to ask something. So I go ahead and begin. So, the fundamental understanding of the dimensions of being is actually very simple. The fundamental understanding is that we all arrive on this planet already complete, with all the resources, with all the capacities, with all the qualities of being. In fact, all the masters even go even further than that. They even say we already arrive awakened. We already arrive enlightened. We have all that the potential that is needed to live a life, as an awakened being. This is the fundamental, point of starting. Of course, we also know that because we arrive in a specific environment, that specific environment, which is the family, which is the society, which is later on the school, tends to bend us, to make us pliable, to make us conditioned to survive in a particular way, which is usually the way that our parents believe is the most efficient, the most effective. So all the parents is their job to actually make us capable to survive in society. And the only way that they can do it is by giving us their experience, which of course is limited, is not often is not very aware, is often not awakened or nearly ever awakened, is actually very conditioned by their own parents, and so on and so forth. So the process of conditioning is a process that starts covering up our awakened nature, our true nature, and makes us insensitive, closed off in relation to who we really are and what is our potential and what are our capacities, and also why we are here, what takes us to this planet in this moment. So this is a very simple basic understanding with a very challenging name, because we call this castration. So we call it conditioning. Is basically a fundamental castration, in the sense that all our aliveness, our life force is attacked in many, many, many different ways. And you guys have done, all of you have done plenty of work, so you know what I'm talking about. And you know also that, unfortunately, a big part of our life is spent to get rid of the conditioning, to take off the veil, to take off the obstacles to our true nature, to who we really are. Now, this conditioning manifests itself through what we call personality. Personality is a Greek word, means persona, means the mask. So that means that we have learned to hide behind a particular mask. Now, and that's good. That's good because it has helped us to survive. And the fact that you're sitting here and present, it means that your mask has been working. Otherwise, you would not be sitting here. You would probably be in an asylum, or maybe, I don't know, or maybe dead, or maybe under a bridge, or schizophrenic, or whatever. So your personality is efficient. It works. And I'm saying that because one of the most basic and fundamental mistakes that for millennia seekers of the truth have done has been condemning themselves, has been condemning their personality, has been condemning their conditioning without understanding it, without understanding the functioning of it. Now, the beautiful thing about this work, and also all of Osho teaching, is that personality as a survival structure and true nature, they're not opposite. They're not enemies. They are not meant to destroy each other. They are meant to coexist. In fact, they do coexist already. We create this absurdity that we need to get rid of our personality so that we can be our true nature. True nature includes everything, absolutely everything, including our personality, including all the things that our mind calls bad, including all the things that our inner judge says are not acceptable, and all this kind of stuff. So one of the pillars of this approach is to understand and to go beyond, to transcend this idea that personality and the true nature, they exclude each other. We don't exclude anything. We include everything, because being is by definition all there is, literally. Not all, but not my personality. Not all, but not my jealousy. No, being is all there is, period. So if you want to start relaxing, if you want to start enjoying your life, stop fighting with yourself. Simply notice, okay, in this moment I'm being an asshole. Okay, how do I know that I'm being an asshole? Okay, because I feel this and this, you know, and that's it. What is the big deal? If God wants you here, he wants you also when you are an asshole or when I am an asshole. He's not telling me, Avigal, yes, I want you here on this planet, but watch out, don't be an asshole. No, this is a priest. It's not God. This is morality of society. It's not the absolute. It's not true nature. True nature says, be who you are in your totality. So this is point number one. And this is the fundamental of this work. Point number two. When we go into this place of recognition that we are everything, we are bound to encounter the most fundamental structure of control that exists in the personality. And that is what we call the inner judge, or the superego, or the inner critic, or the barking dog. Many different names, same thing. So we want, and that's where all the masters, again, they agree on each other, we need to stay alert. What does it mean to stay alert? It means simply to recognize, aha, in this moment, there is a mechanism, because it's just simply a mechanism. It's not an intelligence, it's not an entity, it's not a presence, it's purely a mechanism. In fact, it's like a program, it's like an app, okay? It's like a program, a software. There is a software that represents that conditioning. That software is called the inner judge. And the inner judge is basically our parents inside of us. So if you give it attention and you stay alert, you might notice that very often during the day, and sometimes even during the night, except during the deep sleep, there is an inner dialogue. Who is talking here? Well, if you give it attention, you might notice that the dialogue is between parents or one of the parents and the child. You as a little girl, you as a little boy. And they are continuously chatting with each other, you know? And most of the time, there is not a nice, relaxed, loving communication. Most of the time, the parents, the judge is telling, hey, Vasanto, come on, little Vasanto, stop being like that. You know, you need to be reasonable. You need to be, you know, like loving, you know. And little Vasanto said, fuck off. I'm fed up of being reasonable. I want to be mad. No, I don't want to have to all the time to hold myself back, for example. And there is this inner dialogue. Now, this inner dialogue is not just words, it's energy. So you might find very, very easily at times that that inner dialogue, for example, is a particular tension in the body. So sometimes we have a certain dialogue going on and the throat starts choking, or the forehead gets all tense, or the shoulders come up, or the solar plexus is like having a rock. So the presence of the inner judge and the presence of this inner dialogue is not only words, not only thoughts, but even more important, it is physical symptoms. It is a network of tensions in the body. And is also emotions. So we tend to go back to a particular emotional atmosphere, which was the atmosphere that was most familiar to us when we were in our family. and we were scolded or made wrong or made or judged, or pushed away or rejected. So we go back to that atmosphere. Now, this is important because a big part of the practice is to really simply realize, what are my symptoms? How do I recognize the presence of my inner judge? Because if you don't recognize it, then you get hammered. Then you get all the time, attacked, manipulated. So we need, if we want to reunite or reconnect with our true nature, we are responsible for this, because at this point, nobody can do it except you. So I take the responsibility and I ask myself, okay, what are my symptoms when I am under attack? When my judge is beating me up? When my judge is manipulating? How do I recognize it? Okay, I recognize it because my solar plexus get all tense. I recognize it because I feel I need to, I feel frustrated, I need to do something, I need to make myself busy, or whatever are the symptoms. So this is part of our personal responsibility. Nobody can do this for anybody else. It's part of the practice to bring alertness to moment in my life. How do I judge myself? Because that's how it comes down. The inner dialogue is basically an action, an activity of self-judgment and inner conflict. So we want to become very familiar with that. And each one of us is unique. So whatever judgments you have for yourself are the judgment that you inherited from your parents, and that you keep still nurturing in a way by continuously engaging into this inner dialogue. So the only thing that we need to do at the very beginning is simply to become aware of it. Realize, okay, I'm aware of my self-judgment, and I'm aware of the effects of judging myself. I am aware that I get, for example, guilty. I am aware that I feel ashamed. I'm aware that I make myself smaller. I'm aware that I start and try to please everybody because I'm afraid of being rejected, and so on and so forth. This is your work. And I know, because some of you I know, that you have done already a lot about it. So keep the good work, keep going. This is not finished. Now, there is also another thing to add to this, which is that this control system that I'm calling the inner judge, that does not exist only internally. It exists also on a social level. So if you look at society, every society has a particular embodiment, a particular manifestation of the judge. For example, if you go in Italy, one fundamental way that the judge is operating is by continuously judging your appearance, your self-image. You need to look good. You need to look spunky. You need to look and have all the right shoes and the good image, a particular presentation, because that's part of the collective unconscious in Italy, the image. If you go in Germany, it's not like that. In Germany, the inner judge is about, you need to be efficient, you need to be reliable, you need to be on top of things, you need to be together. completely different. In Italy, nobody gives a shit about being efficient. It's like, it's not part of our culture. You know? So depending on the different societies, there are also different collective unconscious inner judges. And it's good to know that, to recognize, okay, this is actually the collective unconscious of, where I'm immersed. Because I'm Italian and I've been a rebel all my life, the first thing that I do when I buy any piece of clothes, I cut the label. I take away the label. I don't want a label in what I wear. I can't stand it. Also because they scratch my skin and my skin is very sensitive. So I take away the labels, But in Italy, it's like that, labels. So be aware of this thing, and open yourself up to the understanding that there is a control system, that control system exists on a social level and on a familiar level, on a personal level, and you want to become sensitive about it. You want to be aware of it. You want to see it in action. So you don't want to fall asleep there. Now, these two pillars, when we go into the black essence, which is the first quality that we're going to work with in the first module, the black essence is a unique place because is a dimension where all of this completely disappears, dissolves. There is no personality, there is no judge, there is no control system. We say the show is over. There is pure black space, pure infinity. So when we get into that space, we start getting in touch with a dimension that goes beyond all the descriptions, goes beyond all the definitions, that go beyond all the stories. It goes in the infinite space. Now, of course, the infinite space is not something that we are traveling every day. So it might be a little bit scary sometime in the beginning, or maybe a little bit challenging. But in fact, on a very deep level, is a place that we all know, because we exist in that space many, many times during the day, even if we don't realize it. So it's a space where there is absolute peace, silence. But that silence and that peace is not like the mind imagines it, something dead, not at all. It's completely alive. It's full of presence. So entering the black, it's really a big shift in the way we experience ourselves. Because we stop experiencing ourselves through the events, through the things that happen in our life. Those things start disappearing. And we start experiencing ourselves just as pure space. In this particular case, pure black space. Take a breath. You know, when in Christianity, for example, they talk of the Holy Night, they're talking about this space. When the Sufi talk about the wound of existence, they're talking about this space. When other masters talk about the creative void, they're talking about this space. It's just different names. It's a space that we touch sometimes in meditation. It's a space that we touch sometimes in love. When we completely disappear into a moment of love, and there is nobody there to even realize I'm gone. It's a space that we can see in the eyes of very small babies. Just look into their eyes and you can see the absolute black open space where there is nothing, just peace and quietness. It's a space that sometimes we touch when we listen to music, and we get so much in the music that we are not there. We are the music, or we are a sunset or a sunrise, or a sound in the forest, or simply touching somebody. And for a moment, there is only oneness. So when you listen, also reconnect inside with your own experience. Bring back to your memory those moments where you go, oh, yeah. And that's it. There is nothing to add. Now, one of the understandings, which is a fundamental understanding of this work, is that every time that a quality of being arises in us and we reconnect with that quality, also the obstacles that exist in the personality appear. They manifest because they are the distortion of a particular quality. So, for example, when we work with the black essence and we go into a space of pure presence, we cannot avoid dealing with a most fundamental piece in life, which is called death. Because in the perception of the limited personality, to disappear means to die. And death is something that we all want to keep away as much as possible. Or not, I don't know. But it's like, okay, even though we don't know anything about death, we only have ideas, concepts. Maybe we have seen it from outside. But you are here, I'm not dead, you are not dead either. So whatever you are carrying in this moment is not the truth. It's just ideas. So we will look into that. So that's one of the fundamental issues that have to do with the black. And another most fundamental issue is how we keep ourselves enclosed within a very, very limited perception of ourselves and reality through a very clear, specific defense system. So we're going to look at the most basic and fundamental defenses that we activate most of the time unconsciously in our life, and how these defenses keep us constricted, keep us small, keep us closed inside the box, and also keep us in a very repetitive pattern. The second module is the module that is called the yellow essence, or the essence of joy, curiosity, and devotion. It's the most subtle quality of being, because it's the, and also is the quality of being that Osho has been hammering and pushing, because it's about celebration. It's about celebration of everything, and most fundamentally of ourselves. It's about moving our attention consciously away from our compulsive attachment to suffering, and start looking and experiencing ourselves as the source of joy and contentment. Now, to be able to do this, we need to face another quite substantial part of our conditioning. And in particular, we need to look at our loyalty towards the suffering of our parents or our beloved ones in general. How we unconsciously have signed a contract when we were really small, when we have decided that we will be loyal to our parents. And as long as we are loyal to the suffering of our parents, we will keep suffering and they will keep suffering. So this is something that we're going to face directly. What does it mean I am loyal to the suffering of my mom, my father, my brother, maybe even my children, for who is a parent? The suffering of the beloved ones. And what is the price that I'm paying? And what it means for them, and what it means for me. And how this attachment to that suffering keeps castrating my capacity to experience joy and pleasure. So this is a big piece in the yellow essence. I'm going to step straight into the last module, because I really want to hear if there are questions. And the third module is about guidance. When I say in the beginning that we arrive here complete with all the resources that we need, I mean exactly that. For example, guidance is a resource of being. Guidance is intrinsic to our nature. Guidance is the capacity to perceive, to see, to experience reality in a direct, immediate, objective way. And we all are able to do it. The reason why we don't is because of the presence of the superego, of the presence of the inner judge. So instead of being open to the moment and the capacity to perceive ourselves and the moment in a direct way, we continuously filter everything through the should not, judgment, prejudices that we have inherited. So to work with the judge means also an invitation to guidance to manifest. And we can start recognizing how do I recognize guidance? How do I experience guidance? For example, is intuition a form of guidance? Yes, of course it is. If we listen to it. But if you look at our life, yes, for a moment we give it attention, and then again, no, but yes, but not, but blah, blah. But we don't really stay with intuition, because intuition is a direct experience which does not impose itself, does not say, hey, Akhil, this is the intuition, you have to go like that. No, intuition is just like a bloom, a flower that for a moment appears. And then if we stay with it, then we can act. But usually what we do is, oh, okay. And then we look somewhere else and we go back into the inner dialogue. So guidance is something that keeps knocking on our door over and over and over again. But it does it in such a gentle way that is buried under the aggressiveness, the loud voice, the manipulation of the inner judge. So we don't really experience it, or we experience it for a very short moment. So the third module is about how can I make an inner shift so that instead of giving my attention to my judge and the pressure of that control system, I can start really opening my inner senses so that I can hear, I can taste, I can feel the presence of guidance. As an embodied experience, not as a concept, but as something that I can feel in the body, I can feel in my feelings, in my moods, even in my thoughts, in my vision, in my images. Because guidance comes in many different forms. Some people is really like visions, images. Some people are very precise thought patterns, very articulate, boom, 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 very clear. But what guidance never does, it doesn't impose itself. It never says you should or you should not. Never. That's not guidance. Guidance is simply feel this, look at this, notice this, and then leaves us free, completely free. If you want, is the ideal parent, the one we didn't have. Yeah. Or you can see it as a master. The master is exactly like that. The master put us in front of something, and then we are free to go and do whatever we want to do. Now, guidance is one, only one, but it manifests in a unique form in each one of us. It has a particular flavor, a particular way of appearing. It has a particular way of touching me or touching you. Like my guidance is a night guy. You know, they're usually 2 o'clock in the morning, between 1 and 3. You know, it's like, you know, because that's how it is. You know, and sometimes, rarely, you know, when I walk on the beach, you know, before sunrise, well, boom, arise, and it's like, boom, oh, okay, and that's how it is. So each one of us has a particular way to experience it. So what we would like and we want to do when we do the third module is that you bring it to your own specific experience. How do you experience guidance? How do you recognize guidance? How do you can support and listen yourself to guidance? Or how you resist it? So we're going to have to look at that too. How we resist it, how we push it away, how we avoid it, so that we can dance on both, you know, and recognize the obstacles and recognize the capacity. Okay, saying that, this is the end of not the end, but the end of my talking. These are the modules. These are some of the fundamental points. Now, how do we do the work? Now, in this, we use a technology that we call, you know, it's a really very developed technology in the sense that we don't use the butcher knife, we don't use a machete, we use a kind of, a laser beam to go inside. So it's a really very developed technology. And this technology has to do with using self-inquiry in many different ways, in many different forms. Now, self-inquiry means basically I learn how to question everything. And of course, the more precise is the question, the bigger is the possibility to have an experience. So questions are not just asked like this, just to throw them and see what happens, Questions are asked because they represent exactly who we are, where we are, and what we need in that moment. So we want to learn to really make the question, in the beginning, the questions can be very general, but then little by little, we want to learn to make the question absolutely personal. It's about who is asking the question. It's about that there is so much connection that I know exactly what to ask and how to ask it. Now, I will give you a secret. And the secret is actually a beautiful secret. And the secret is actually very simple. We would not be able to ask a question unless the answer would already be existing. And this is something that is fundamental to understand. We can only ask questions because the answer is already present, is already embodied, is already in us, is already in the field, is already in our feelings, in our thoughts, in our consciousness. If the reality of that answer would not be present, we would not be able to articulate the question. And this is magnificent, because this is out of the incredible abundance of existence. Abundance that everything is already here. And because everything is already here, then I can question. What is this? What is that? Where is going with that way? What's happening there? So, and the more we ask, and the more we recognize this intrinsic intelligence and capacity that we have, the more we become a conscious invitation for the mystery to manifest itself, to open itself, to be revealed. So the fundamental of the inquiry is curiosity. Curiosity and an invitation to existence, to the mystery, to reveal itself. The other good news for an adventurer is that the more we ask and the more the mystery manifests itself, the more mysterious it becomes. So the journey gets better and better and better, because it never ends. You go like, oh my God, this so the mystery is a mystery, but it keeps revealing itself. So we use consciously self-inquiry as an invitation. Now, the particularity of self-inquiry, which makes it so powerful, is that self-inquiry is a technique that blends together love and awareness. If you don't love the truth, you don't ask. So the love of the truth is what makes us ask. So that's important, that we give ourselves that recognition. I love the truth. That's why I ask. And then awareness is that luminosity that shines through the question and reveals the mystery. So the path of self-inquiry is a path of total involvement in love and awareness. We go beyond any separation between love and awareness. We love the truth. We love to understand it. We love to experience it. We love ourselves as embodiments of the truth. So that's what makes it so powerful. Now, in the beginning, we have to practice. We just practice. We start with questions. You probably have done it already many times, and you probably have also the experience that the more we are involved with the question, the more we become the question. The question tends to disappear. Our life is a continuous unfoldment of love of the truth and curiosity and passion. So this is what is the fundamental tool that we use here. Inquiry. Now, to be able to inquire, there is a basic need. We need to be present. If we are not present, we cannot do inquiry. So to learn to stay present, to learn and to recognize, okay, in this moment I'm here, I'm present, I'm not shifting, I'm not jumping, I'm not going in this right moment, I'm right here. Then on that presence, which is the basic ground, we can ask. Because when we ask, we are open to whatever appears. So if I'm not present, things can appear and be revealed, but I miss them. I don't see them, I don't feel them. So practicing presence is the fundamental ground. And when we practice presence, we begin as we began this meeting, by being in the body. So how do I practice presence? Okay, first of all, am I here in my body? Can I feel my body? Can I feel the way I'm sitting? Can I feel the way I'm breathing? Can I feel if there are any tension? Can I feel the temperature of my body? Can I feel the density of my body? Can I feel a certain part more and a part less? Can I feel how my t-shirt is touching my skin and all this? So it's really about being present in the body. And then little by little, that presence in the body expands to being present with our emotions, to being present with our thought forms, to being present with our moods. And little by little, we start including more and more and more dimensions of our experience. So practicing presence is the first tool that we have, being in the body. The second, as I said, is inquiry. I practice presence and I support my presence through my self-discovery, through my inquiry. The third tool that we have is being aware of my inner dynamic with my inner judge, which means that as I practice presence and as I inquire, I also notice, as much as I'm capable of and as much as I'm open to, how there is a constant presence of this mechanism that is trying to move away my attention from this moment. Move away my attention from what I am experiencing. The inner judge lives up here. The inner judge lives in thinking imagination. Inquiry tends to bring us down into the belly, into the heart, into the genitals, into the embodiment, not just in the thinking. So if you start being aware of how your judge is attacking you, you might notice that there is a movement. Maybe you're feeling something in your belly, and then suddenly you start having a whole dialogue, which happens up here, about what you were experiencing a moment before. and then you forget what you were experiencing. You have not connection anymore, and you start kind of wondering, oh, maybe it was this, maybe it was that, no, it was that thing, no, that. And we are, like they say, mind fucking. And usually fucking does not happen with the mind. It happens with something which is made for that. So we bring the energy down, into the belly, into the heart, into the genitals, into our legs, into our hips, into our feet, so that we can embody. This is the third point. And the fourth point is open yourself to guidance. As we are present, as we inquire, as we notice how the judge is trying to pull us away from our own experience and understanding, we might start noticing also that there is guidance happening. Maybe it's a feeling, maybe there is a sudden intuition, maybe there is an image, maybe there is a vision, maybe there is a sensation in the body. So we start opening consciously our attention to, is there guidance somewhere? How do I recognize it? How do I feel the difference between guidance and the judge? How can I give attention to guidance? So presence first, inquiry, other tools, attention to the presence of your judge, and opening to guidance. These are the 4 pillars of our work. And this is something that we keep bringing awareness to, attention to, and nurture.